U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
This is crazy, bro. Getting one of the dudes in your team to film you as you're like casually reading the book, he's upgraded. He's upgraded a lot.
Gonna be reading Dust Capital. High quality edits. Okay, let's see.
Oh, here. How capitalism changed the face of war, and then we're gonna move on to fun shit.
Fun shit. This
war
isn't
used to
fun.
be simpler. Violent, yes, always violent, but more straightforward.
This is
It used to
the
be about
aspect
large groups
ratio,
of
bro.
men
Oh my
fighting
god.
their muscles,
Avant
their
garde.
spears, and eventually their swords and their crossbows,
My
and then
my.
their guns and their cannons. But then we hit a point where it just started to change so quickly, faster and faster, until
See, he did
eventually
this
we got
aspect
this.
ratio because he needed to
Private
incorporate the
corporations
stock
who make
footage there.
unfathomably powerful
Why does bro look like he's doing better help?
death
He's
machines,
gonna fucking
and then
he's
ship those
gonna
weapons.
advertise better health. Just wait. And Hasan is not gonna skip the ad.
To every corner of the globe.
Yeah, we can also deploy
care
a
about these
fucking
guys who
Burger King out of a
make
plane,
weapons
bro.
and sell them
Okay.
150 years ago. Sell them to anyone who would buy them. These were industrial weapons. And sometimes they were sold to the opposite sides of really big rivalries, conflicts. I heard these guys started World War I, though I'm skeptical of that.
Good, you should be.
This is something I've wanted to understand forever, the arms trade. As a student of conflict, it's something...
Pick me, Johnny, oh, pick me, pick me.
Cornball, dude. I can't stand it when he says stuff like this. I love it so much.
Pick
I
me.
can't stand it, but I love it at the same time.
I feel like I have to understand. I recently found a way to better understand it. In an old bookstore in Portland, Oregon, I found a book that has changed my perspective on this.
Bro, you cannot do track shots. That's crazy.
Called Merchants of Death. And it is surprisingly relevant to today, even though it was written in 1934. This book has been the center of...
He should be reading Imperialism, the Highest Stage of Capitalism, bro.
You're even worse than him, bro.
Why do countries, especially the United States, make and sell weapons to every corner of the globe? That's what we're gonna get to the bottom of.
Yeah, war is a racket. Imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism.
Oh
there's
my god.
Better. I mean, there's books out there.
Quoting Smedley Butler, bro, a guy who fought in fucking Panama.
Awesome.
He needs to read
Yeah,
the
bro.
room.
Crazy.
I'll start with
Oh my god.
Just
Crazy.
knowing
You mean to
experts,
tell me when fucking
arms trade
still
data
segregated that the United States military committed a fucking genocide to fucking build the Panama Canal? Crazy, bro. Oh my god. Smedley Butler, the most decorated soldier, now he's turning on the fucking industry because of what they made him do in these countries. Like this is like the Philippine War era, bro. Come on. War is a racket.
It's a huge part of this. Like I want to
But
make
what
a map
about
to see
Orwell?
it
Orwell
visually, and
says
there's not a
they
lot of...
do wars to throw the money away. Which person is right? I'm already sick of Hasan. You want me to cover him? I can cover
clear
him.
maps out there. So we're gonna make our own.
He's
But that's
making
not
his
gonna be
own
what I
map.
do art here. Talk to the team, loop them
Oh,
in,
God.
let them know what we're up to.
He's the non-silent cartographer. He never shuts the fuck up cartographer.
For his team now. What the fuck?
Oh god, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Bro, he's always had a team. Are you kidding? Oh my god, you fuck.
All right, let's put the mapping aside for a little bit. Turn back to this book.
Bro, he's been reading so hard. He has a cut on his finger. Okay.
This book is what hooked me on this topic, and there's a lot here.
Approximately the size of the CIA.
Okay. Videos like this take a really long time to make, and there's a lot of really creative, amazing, talented people who work on them.
He's gonna hit us
The
with an
ability
ad,
for us to
obviously.
do this deep dive data journalism is made possible because of sponsors. Media is always made possible
We can
because
do
of
it.
sponsors. And
We
my
can do
company
it. Goodbye.
is
Goodbye.
at 10%
ad.
off.
After October 2nd.
I knew it was going to be better help. I
Supporting
fucking
the
called
weapon.
it, bro. I fucking.
Our starting
Bro,
place
he's
is
still
that
got
point
the
in
aspect
history where
ratio.
war
Avant
dramatic-
garde, Johnny. Avant garde. Look at this lighting, bro.
It's great, isn't it? I love it. I
He's
reckon
got
it's
like
fantastic.
he's literally using. So like if wait, there's literally what's funny is you can see that there's a box light on his fucking monitor, right? Like he doesn't unless he has just a white monitor up. That's got to be a reflection, right? Does this motherfucker just have a blank Photoshop page open right now? He's about to draw his fucking map. Is that what we're looking at? It might be just a fucking. It might not be a reflection. It's hard to tell. Hate his monitor though. These curved ass monitors. Get out of here.
I have a curved monitor.
Get
Fuck
two.
you.
Get
They're
two.
great. I do need.
Bro, there's a fucking camera in the shot. Come on, bro.
Hmm.
You gotta fucking boom in the shot. Camera in the shot.
changed. Instead of large groups of
Just hold
men
me.
fighting with handheld tools, war became much more about fighting with
Jesus
machines,
Christ.
bigger and bigger. This was made possible by the massive amounts of energy that were found stored
In fossil fuels?
in coal and oil. Now, warships could be pushed by steam
Fuck me.
instead of wind, shielded by iron instead of wood. Armies and supplies could be brought to the battlefield on trains, out with the horses and in with the trucks. It's the late 1800s and the fires are burning hotter than ever. Metal is taking the shape of souped-up cannons,
Crazy,
guns,
the
and
Industrial
ships,
Revolution.
tools of war that were never thought possible, now flowing in abundance.
Bullshit. Okay, the tank, that's something that's like definitely been thought about, like an armored fucking thing that you can shoot out of, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely been thought of. All right. They definitely knew that guns would get faster.
Mm-hmm.
They've had cannons for a long time. They
Yeah.
definitely would have predicted artillery.
Mm-hmm.
He is Christopher Nolan. He's not Christopher Nolan. He gets his cameras in his own shots.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. Nuclear weapons, maybe like a bomb that catastrophic. Maybe. Submarines, maybe that. But I think that I know you were being sarcastic. I know, but the combustion engine, maybe that specifically, people didn't see coming. Electricity,
Yeah, the light bulb.
But weapons, I think they pretty much figured out. Like
Yeah. As soon as gunpowder was invented, it was always going to get put into a cartridge and just made smaller and more powerful.
Arms makers engineer war scares. They excite
There ain't no way he actually highlights like this. Come on, bro.
governments and peoples to fear their neighbors and rivals so that they can sell more armaments. The simple, relatively inexpensive weapons of earlier ages were displaced by highly scientific.
When we're talking about this, right? So this is getting in the false flag brain. What we're talking about here is how AUKUS happened, right? So these escalations with China, they turned up the heat on that while AUKUS was going through, right? So they turned up the heat in that area to justify the rearmament of Japan, because Japan wanted to rearm, right? So and then with all these like AUKUS deals, right? Like Australia needed to justify that to their people because Australians are crybabies. So
also to justify canceling the French sub deal.
So that was not necessarily the arms industry, Like the arms industry isn't fucking selling nuclear subs to a non-nuclear nation like Australia like that, and giving them the shit to build them. That's not like an arms industry thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's a high level government thing. Like
so
that's not.
It's not just the industry. Okay, this was written at a time before like people had even the concept of socialism,
Yes. Yeah.
And like they only saw like capitalism being like capitalism is ever growing and ever getting more powerful. Look at these people. They've, the industrialists, right?
Yeah.
They were the big villains of this era. They killed people.
And the cost of these, together with the upkeep of huge armies, brought a rapid increase in national war budgets. So that's when it happened. And overseeing all of this production of industrial weaponry, not governments, but businessmen.
Oh my god, you don't need that in the shot. That's why the overhead camera was there.
Bro,
just
every time he has the book, he's on like page 10, okay? That's why it happened. That was like the best reaction.
He's just reading the shit out of this book, huh?
Yeah, bro.
But the arms merchant doesn't see himself as a villain.
That was already highlighted.
He is simply a businessman who sells his wares under prevailing business practices, the uses of which his products are put, and the results of his traffic are apparently no concern of his.
Bro,
no more than they are, for instance,
to an automobile.
That reading is from 1934.
Yeah, he said that.
I didn't hear him, so I was checking.
He's on
the results of
while he's at the desk with his $900 headphones.
his
My
traffic
headphones
are
don't
apparently
work
no
like
concern
that
of his.
because Chinchilla chewed the cord.
You should buy $900 headphones like him,
I
and they
can't
don't
afford
have cords.
regular headphones, bro. Hey, did you know that we're raising money for an NGO? We're trying to help journalists around the world in conflict zones in places that don't have free speech and things like that. Well, I mean, this, we're going to get into that next with the new fucking index and stuff. We're also doing fundraisers constantly for Ukraine. One of those fundraisers is about to be funded. You can pause if you want to just type those fundraisers into the search bar, or the Patreon is
Was
definitely
it
easier, so you'll definitely remember that one.
now?
There
Was
you go,
it
that one
now?
right there. Get it.
These ones?
Here's Junk to tell you more.
We might have people watching this show, but you can be the difference maker, because we just need our audience to be paid members, and then this show can be around forever. So you can make that difference. Click join now.
Thanks, Junk.
Thanks, Junk.
No more than they are, for instance, to an automobile salesman.
Bro,
This is crazy, bro. Like getting one of the dudes
I
in your
hate him.
team to film you as you're like casually reading the book. He's
Bro,
he's upgraded.
you think he
He's
had he
upgraded a
set
lot.
up that shot
Okay.
himself on a
Is he doing
tripod,
video on a book?
Hassan. He's filming himself
Man,
reading a
so
book.
funny.
That's
man, look at
it's
this,
so
11 hours
it's
and
so above
100,000
next
views, baby.
level.
Still,
Lame.
people haven't heard back from a lot of experts. And
Oh my god, I hate
Shut
him
my
so
mouth.
much. I hate him so much.
Fair, all the other YouTubers copied his style. Yeah, I mean, he is the Vox guy. Well, him and his editors.
Data set. One British arms manufacturer compared his enterprise to that of a house furnishing company.
This
which
is
went so
literally
far as to
Johnny Harris
encourage
made a
matrimony
video about how he
to
read a
stimulate
book,
more
bro. That's what we're getting. And Hasan is blown away by this. It's a video about a fucking book, bro.
purchases of house
Fucking
furnishings.
book report.
The arms maker
literally.
felt that he too was justified in promoting his own particular brand of business. Hey Stephen, Happy New Year to you. I'm curious if
This is
you can help us crunch this data. Would love your thoughts.
crunch this data.
The arms industry is undeniably a menace to peace, but it is an industry to which our present civilization clings.
See that what he
And
just
for
did.
which
That,
it
hey Steven, well, like the message, like that's totally like fine to put in like a documentary piece, right? Like you'll have like you'll switch to B-roll, right? And you'll have like a tape recorder, and you'll put the tape recorder or the the answering machine beep in there and stuff,
yeah.
Or the voicemail. Like you'll just record the voicemail that you got, and then they'll have the voicemail like with B-roll, and then immediately after that it'll be them holding the phone like this, and it'll be calling on speaker, and they're calling the person who just left that voicemail back. Classic shot.
Yeah.
Like he's like, that's important. Like clinging. Shout out shitting on Johnny for being the last one here to realize what he's talking about in this video. Like they weren't also once that guy. No, I love Johnny Harris, as you guys know. He is my
At least he's not
Mormon king.
gonna bring up
He's
Dwight
just-
D.
it's
Eisenhower.
great. It's just- I mean, even when it's corny, I like it. It's just great.
Is responsible.
Bro, they were literally making chemical weapons.
CIPRI
at
is this
this
organization
point.
that shows all of the weapons being transferred from every country to every other country.
Nice.
So here's ChatGPT.
No, go back to that source. That was a good source. I used
It's really
that
just
source. Oh
What?
no! Oh no!
ChatGPT. Which one? This one?
No! I was saying him. Like, bro, what are you doing? Chat. He was literally on like an arms
CIPRI is this
sales
organization.
like index, right? And he fucking like it's like the SARNA or something.
Yeah.
And he went from that to ChatGPT. I was like, bro, that's like that's the source that you want right there. You had it.
That shows all of
Yeah, that's
Sepra.
what it is. Sepra. I was thinking
arms
A's
transfer
it's I's
database.
instead of A's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the arms transfer database.
This will literally
actually-
come up so easy on Google too. It's so
That's a
easy.
great list. That's cool.
Yeah.
the weapons being transferred from every country to every other country.
Mm-hmm.
So here's ChatGPT's initial take on the data set. It's really disheartening how horrible it all looks at first. So these lines are telling me nothing, and you know that at some point
He's just plugged the data set into ChatGPT.
I know.
it will get into a pretty place, but it's not there, not even close.
That's just not how
Bro,
you
he's
do
wearing my
data.
chain.
You know, it doesn't. That doesn't
Yeah.
tell me shit. It's like how you do an infographic.
Yeah.
First up,
now we're gonna hear
Maxim,
from fucking
world
Count
famous
Dracula.
as the inventor of the wholesale killing machine, the type of machine gun. Maxim invented this gun that could fire 660.
This shit is like regarded as the reason why Africa was devastated and colonized.
6 rounds per minute. That was very fast. And crucially, it didn't jam like most machine guns. With his amazing invention, Maxim takes his gun out on the road all over the world to try to pitch it to different governments.
What's funny is they
He's in
used
South
them against
Africa
the
and
Russians
France
and
and
Afghanistan too.
Yeah. It's been, I think it might be have been used in every war since it was made.
G.I. Joe turned out to be Cobra, no surprise. It's just like this era, it's like talking about the days of slavery like it's today, you know? Like this is so long ago. Like the concept of socialism and like that ultra capitalism didn't actually exist. This was like industrialists. It wasn't capital. It was industrialization, industrialists, right? So like there's a whole like transformation after the Second World War. And then even then, the whole like nuclear era to like the 50s to the 80s, unreal. Like a totally another like era that just doesn't exist. The Soviet Union falling changed the world. Like it just doesn't function like this anymore.
Yeah.
Like there's like institutions and everything. They're built up from these institutions, but like come on, bro. They made the weapons so World War II was going to be possible, so colonization was supposed to be possible. Okay, bro, it was the Industrial Revolution. Yes.
Switzerland,
the Industrial
Italy,
Revolution
and Germany.
Was bad.
His gun selling
we all know
efforts
this.
eventually take him to Russia, where he was almost thrown out for looking like a foreign Jew. Well, kind of aggressive. But then eventually he was able to stay and show them his gun, but they were skeptical. They're like, no gun can shoot 666 rounds a minute.
Yo, Russia is crazy. Remember, bro, Russia is that's a certified Russia moment right there, Russian Empire moment.
But
still like that.
And they were incredibly impressed. His fame became so great in Russia that the Tsar invited him to visit him, which he did. He was also decorated with other Russian. The British eventually started using Maxim's gun in their big adventures in Africa. They were taking over modern-day Sudan and started using this gun against the locals who were fighting with swords. The British newspaper giddily reported that when the Maxim gun was turned on the Arabs, quote, a visible wave of death swept over the advancing hosts.
How long did it take him to adapt?
Much like the top of the hour ad break, where a visible wave of 3 minutes of ads sweep over those who are unsubscribed. So don't be like those devoid of a Maxim gun. Shoot the top.
Shut up, Hasan.
And it's just like
living down in
like
Kent.
just also just in this generation of warfare, right? Like we're talking about, this is like the dawn of the third generation.
Yeah.
Or the third generation.
Yeah, third, yeah.
And like just going into the fourth generation being defined by insurgent warfare, you just can't do that shit anymore.
Yeah.
Which makes this like more like to say that oh, this is where the arms industry started. It's like, bro, that's also where the auto industry started. What do you think happened at this time that kicked off all these fucking industrialized businesses, bro? Like, come on. Like, beautiful gun though. Look at that. That's still basically the gun today. That looks just like a Browning.
Pretty much.
Book is so good. War was changing, and Maxim was on the front lines of it, and he was making a ton of money in the process.
Yeah,
China hears about the Maxim gun and immediately sends someone to go check it out. The Chinese representative gets to the UK, and the first words as he stepped off the ship on English soil were, "I should like to see Hiram Maxim." The Danes passed on the gun, the king himself saying that it would, quote, bankrupt my little kingdom in about 2 hours. But the king of Persia, the Shah, wanted some of these guns. So he asked the Prince of Wales to gift him some. And this is a key moment. The Prince of Wales says that he actually is not authorized to give the king of Persia any of these guns because they belong to Hiram Maxim's corporation. Pause here for a second. Do you see how this works back in the late 1800s and early 1900s? Governments couldn't sell weapons. It was the corporations that sold the weapons. They were the ones who were in charge. It was a free market of weapons. And the weapons kept flowing to everyone on Earth.
It's almost like
these
then
guys
World
kept
War
on
II
making a lot of money,
happened,
which gets us to our next character in the story, our next merchant
Johnny,
of
did
death.
you know that the UN didn't exist back then either?
Saharov, aka the super salesman of death, aka the mystery man of Europe. because he
Can
was,
reach
quote,
up, get
a
his camera
shadowy
system
figure.
in, get
This
that
guy has an
shot.
insane story, and someone should make a movie about him because his story is wild, but he was the super salesman of death. He went around Europe and around the world
Still
selling
wearing a
guns
beanie
and submarines
inside.
and all
Were you
manner of
too
weapons
old, bro?
to anyone who would purchase them.
Like, aren't you a
Huh?
little old for the beanie, bro? You're still wearing a like, bro. You are lefty tinfoil, man. Like, basically, just trying to relive your youthful days. Okay, come on, what are you pausing?
Including two sides of the same war. Like Greece and Turkey, which was the Ottoman Empire at the time, were definitely like arch rivals, and they would sort of break out into conflict at any moment. Zahara first goes to Greece and sells them some outdated submarines that the great powers didn't want to buy, and then goes right to Turkey and says,
this
hey,
is
Greece just bought a bunch
where
of submarines, we
Orwell
need some
got
too.
all his
And they buy
fucking
some
writing
submarines.
from,
And then
'cause
he
they were
goes to
inspired by
Russia
these
and does the
specific
same
wars.
thing. Hey, Greece and Turkey have
What?
I said, I wonder if this is where Orwell got all that stuff from, because it was inspired by these specific wars.
these submarines, they're in the Black Sea, you probably need some, and indeed Russia bought one because of that. And this guy's commissions go through the roof. It was rumored that Zaharov became one of the richest men on earth because of the arms trade.
Cool.
Luckily, I have very skilled map friends that are going to help me make this data look pretty, including Marcus,
Hey Johnny, this is a multi-level problem, so I'm going to try to break it down.
who invented the mapping tool
Map.
that we use called geolayers.
It's like transform your data
Map.
and
Oh, you're advertising.
Yes,
This
Matt.
is all to advertise
YouTube
a fucking product, bro.
page. This is we
Bro,
found it. We
you
found the
can-
source of
you
the
could
problem.
do what they're
He's
doing
he's
with
the
Google
number
Earth.
one map guy. He's the one who's been. He is basically the death dealer, dog, but for maps. That's crazy,
it here. And right now we can create a data-driven style.
dude. Everything I know about map porn says to me that this Dutch
What
man
was
on the other side
the
of the
fucking
line
India
probably
show
fucking despises
with
me
the lines
every
going
fiber of his
everywhere?
being. I'm the most anti-map guy. I'm the most anti-map guy on the planet. Almost all the
Yeah,
positions.
that's
with the
my
exception
issue
of, like,
with it.
urbanism,
When's my turn?
I
to
am
shoot
on
it?
the other side on. Dude, he's
I'm sure
probably
there's
Too many
something
lines,
going
Johnny.
on.
guy.
There's
Oh
too
my
many
God.
lines on the map. It's
So you
defeating
have
the
all these
purpose of
international
using a map.
businessmen
We
that-
get it. Weapons are everywhere, bro.
We're making lots of money off of this new demand for industrial weapons. The Krupp
They were
family and their
making
steel,
lots
the
of
DuPont
money.
family and their gunpowder,
We got
Remington
lots
making
of
guns.
dollar bills for the guns.
And of course, Alfred Nobel, the dynamite king,
Oh
who
god.
did go on to repent for his sins by creating a peace prize in his name. Peace, brought to you by...
You say this stuff and then end up being a fan. Well, if you are a fan, I'm sorry. What do you mean? Urbanists despise
I'm
you?
a fan of
Urbanists
both of
despise
you.
me, even though we agree. Like, I love walkable cities and
the
public
fuck is
transit.
an
I have
urbanist?
the exact same
What
public
is
transit
happening?
autism that they do. So, like, I don't really give a shit if they despise me or not. There's some urbanists who like me too, by the way. That's not true.
killing machines. The paradox at the heart of international relations, and the theme throughout this entire video. These men got richer and richer, the weapons got better and better, until one day, it all blew up.
Wait, tell us about the airplane. Why was that invented? What about what about the helicopter? Was that invented as a weapon too? Guess where the United States makes all its money in weapon sales? Here we go, chemical weapons.
The number and variety of
Sarin.
death
Let's
machines
talk
had
about
never
sarin.
been equaled. All of the sinister engines of war, invented and perfected in the previous half century, were used in the fighting. And naturally enough, there was further development of these during the war itself. The machine gun was improved. Artillery
Wars
was
like that.
motorized, and its range became longer. Sights and fire control apparatus became more scientific and more accurate. Many new implements of war were invented. The tank, a combined American and French invention,
Crazy.
was first
almost like
used by the British.
There's back
Hand
and forth
grenades were
tactics
supplied
going on here. And you know,
in
you
the
were
trenches,
reacting
and rifle
to
grenades
something that
increased the
enemy has
range of
made.
Yeah.
these deadly missiles. The First World War took place between 1914 and 1918, and thanks to all these new deadly chemicals and weapons,
Thanks,
it was
Johnny.
easily
Didn't
the
know
deadliest
that.
conflict that the world had ever seen. Tens
Yeah.
of
Until
millions of people.
the
were
second
reason-
one.
wounded.
No.
It was
The
after
reason
this
why
war
it was
that-
deadly is not because of the weapons. Let's
It's
be
because
clear
of
on that.
the trench
It's
foot and
because of the
shit.
states and the empires, right? The empires had no regard for human life. You bought your rank back then,
Yep,
right?
yep.
So if we're going to talk about capitalism's effect on warfare in this era, it's not in the arms industry there. It's in the military industry itself and buying your rank up there, because these God, who was I think it might have been even Hasan, who I was watching, and they were talking about, like, it was some report on like how at one point like the way poetry was. Oh, you know what it was? Sean, the Skull guy, just made a video and he was talking about the poetry from the British before and after the war, and like how in history none of the like pro-war state poetry like is remembered and stuff.
Interesting. That is very interesting.
The world woke up.
Yeah, that's actually a funny take. Red-haired Shank says it only became a tragedy once Europeans started using it on themselves. It's kind of hard not to notice that when he glanced over some of the most devastating aspects of colonialism that could only happen due to the superiority of these like advanced murder machines. But he made it seem like
that's not what it's about, dickhead.
Colonialism was going on at its height before these things came.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Zulu fucked the British up.
That was just an
So
adventure.
did the Kiwis, actually.
And the Afghans.
Mm.
Well, kind of. There's 3 wars with the British in Afghanistan. Yeah. They did occupy it briefly.
Only to turn around and be like the worst, most devastating tragedy of all time. You don't understand. Once they started doing
it's the deadliest war.
They were doing to like people in Africa,
which it is.
Man, shit was really
fucking
fucked up.
battle of the Somme,
making
right?
weapons a free market to be sold to.
It was like over the few months that it took place, 3 million people died.
That's a lot.
And so it's just a few weeks, right? They sent the Irish revolutionaries who just rose up against the British there.
Okay.
Right? So that's what they would do, is they would send them out to the Somme to get fucking massacred, right? Imagine being in a place, you know, it's not like it's a big place, you know, it's a battlefield, but 3 million dead. Imagine coming through that and surviving that. Imagine what that would do to you.
Yeah. You wouldn't be the same.
Wild shit that they would just throw human lives away like that.
Yeah.
And we're just going to be like, oh, it's the Europeans. This is like beyond like the European complex. Like the people of this era.
Yeah.
Their complex and regard for human life. Like, and you can look at it in like the context when they talk about slavery and colonizing the natives in America. Like they do not have the same like brain structure as us, right? It is just an alien society of how fucking awful they were.
Yeah. And to see how far it's come in just to like 150 years or so is wild.
Like they to frame like ISIS as the greatest evil or Hitler as the greatest evil.
Yeah.
It was like all of these people were bad.
Yeah.
Hitler was just the most successful at industrializing a genocide.
Yes, which is why he's seen as like the worst. But they're all on the same scale, which is half of the reason that I always troll people, and
they're like all just as evil.
Yeah, like, and this is why I always use that fucking meme that I made, the one from The Office where I have the swastika and the hammer and sickle. Yeah, that one. And I always use that, and it always gets people. It always works because they just get real salty. Or I send them the graph that has marks connected to Nazism.
I had this. I lost it, but I had this meme I made. It's like a cartoon worm in somebody's brain, and then it's just there's a speech bubble, and it's just Karl Marx's head.
That's hilarious.
To the highest bidder was probably a bad idea, and that's when this book came out in the 1930s. It was a part of a larger discussion and critique
Did you say
of the
1970s?
international arms trade. Some of these critiques went so far as to say that it was the arms makers themselves that exacerbated tensions between countries and caused the war. Though most historians just say that the arms trade actually just exacerbated the violence by putting more.
They had to have a customer.
But then, in the conclusion of this book, you have this kind of prophecy moment.
Like,
the future may very well bring fiercer and more destructive wars. Priest business for the arms makers. If war continues, it is not at all fantastic to predict that the arms merchants will grow increasingly important. Already, the stage of national affairs has been reached where the largest item on national budgets is for past and future wars. Already, war appears the greatest and most important activity of government. The economic consequences of this new nationalistic militarism.
We've seen what these fucking industrialists have done in the past. We have to make sure that capitalism does not get its hands on a nuclear weapon. Remember when he gave that speech and everyone thought that it was about something else and still does?
will soon be apparent in the arms industry. This new nationalistic militarism. It was new back then. It's not new anymore, but this is where it started. So now it's time to fast forward and see how right they were. All right, this is for MJ. This is a pass off for you to make a beautiful map.
Okay, so John just sent me over the direction for the next map.
The other map that he made, he didn't do anything with. He literally is like, I got it this data. I'm going to make a pretty map. And he showed the pretty map. It was overwhelming. The links were everywhere, and he moved on from the map. He didn't talk about it at all. You're like, bro, do actual journalism, okay? Stop making graphics.
Yeah, a bit complicated.
I would lose my mind.
Yeah, good map.
Like, make a report.
Today, the United States is the global superpower, and the country who exports more weapons.
Maps. But maps.
Than any other country, and by a long shot. And this is what we've been working to try to map.
What you mean? You mean
Google Earth? That
America?
Was Google Earth. I told you, bro.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. You mean America? The world's largest weapons sales is the biggest? Whoa.
America line thick.
This data hunting and trial and error is to try to see what this looks like. Today, private companies still make and sell the weapons, but unlike in the merchants of...
Guess who gives them contracts?
Bro, guess who can just buy those weapons now?
Me.
Those machine guns and things that they basically had back then. I can buy a Maxim gun. It just can't be automatic. Or it can be disabled, right? I can buy it for a historic piece, right?
That's
if it
true.
doesn't function,
yeah, because
right?
that would be
I can buy a tank, Johnny.
Yes. There is a YouTuber who just bought a tank.
You can get civilian F-16s right now, bro.
Very cool.
Like,
but
come
also,
on.
These companies don't just make this shit and hope people buy them. They're contracted.
Yeah, but
they're literally military
what I'm saying is like they literally like. They do though. They do. These companies still do sell direct.
Oh, I know. But like these are contracted. Like the jets, specifically the jets, are contracted. The small arms, the missiles, that sort of shit, that is all sort of made en masse and sold. Which whatever.
Well, they get orders.
Yeah,
too. They're like orders that they fill.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have them already made.
Yeah, they're made to order, which is why they're running out of shit.
Death era. Weapons sales go through a government approval process, which means that weapons are no longer just a product that make money for businessmen. Instead, they are a currency that countries use to purchase influence.
Yes.
In this case, the United States being the top country. Thanks mostly to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, or SIPRI, we know where these weapons come from and where they go. This has been the bedrock of our data hunting, and I'm happy to say that after a fairly long process, we have mapped this.
Really?
So let me show you what it looks like.
Yeah, they're the ones who do the arms risk index, the arms sales risk, right? You really need both of these because they really break. Because you need to look at where the weapons are going and what the arms risk is for that to be evaluated.
Yeah, right.
So when you compare those two data sets, you start breaking down where these like at-risk zones are. And where weapons are going to be flooding in and where they're going to start being trafficked.
Looks like when the global superpower uses weapons as a currency for influence around the globe.
It's wild.
Wow, crazy.
It's wild he's talking about this. And then
we're going to make a program to draw a line to every country from the United States except for like Iran and North Korea.
And how like NATO has played a key role in what he's talking about here.
This map is pretty beautiful.
You should have drawn a map to where they don't sell guns. Come on.
And it's helpful for seeing one really important thing, which is the expanse of U.S. arms trade. How far it goes, how wide it goes. The thicker the lines, the more weapons flow. But this map...
What do U.S. weapons buy? Regional stability, alliance, friendship, counter an enemy, vital resource. Yeah, he's not going to fucking link this back to NATO.
I think he's
only shows us the first layer. In reporting this story, I've realized that there's a deeper way to understand this map.
It's going to take a little extra reporting.
There we go.
Which is why there's going to be a part 2 of this video, which dives into the modern arms trade, what it looks like when the U.S.
Hell yeah, part 2.
Come on,
Can't
Arms
wait.
Index. Say it's the risk.
Sells weapons all over the world and why they do it. The purpose of this video was to introduce you to the merchants of death.
There you
so
go.
that they could teach us
Was to
about
waste our time.
how the
That's what
business
this.
of
That's
war
what the
came
purpose
to
of this
be,
video
and what
was.
happens when that business goes.
To waste my time.
This entire video was a waste of time. The real video is the next one. There you go. We found the conclusion.
Part 2 will be coming out really soon. And in part 2,
bro, please tell me, bro. Imagine he just fucking starts talking about. I realize he gives himself so much credit. That's probably what it is. Yeah, he basically will like explain a story as though he's the first to have ever come across this piece of.
All right, I'm done with this. Who's ready to look at maps? You can like pull up some videos in the background.
Yeah. Can you take the next one? Just I've typed it.
Well, I'm pulling up map.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?